Welcome back everyone, another MacBook video, and this time we're not talking about a super old MacBook. We're not talking about a MacBook that I used and all this stuff for a year or two. We're talking about a MacBook that just came out, and it's actually the most expensive MacBook out right now, which is weird because I could barely afford it if I'm being honest, but I still went and bought it just because, I gotta step up my workflow. Now, here's the thing, okay? I have a lot of conflicting stuff with this MacBook, and I'm gonna say it, and we're just gonna see how it goes because it's probably gonna be controversial, but luckily for me, nobody's probably gonna watch this video, so it's okay. Now here's the thing, okay, the 16-inch MacBook came out last year, right? And I was looking at the videos, I was looking at everyone talking about it, and everyone was hyping it up. Everyone's like, it's probably the greatest MacBook ever. There were three things that really brought me to this specific MacBook that I was actually extremely happy about. The one being the bigger display. The 16-inch it just looks so good to me, and after looking at it now, it's a beautiful panel. A lot of people have said that it didn't really increase from the touch bar 15-inch or whatever, or it doesn't look better, but I was coming from a 15-inch from 2015, the pre-touch bar model, and the screen on here looks really good. I'm being honest, that's probably one of the best things about it. And since I already had that 15-inch MacBook, going to this one, it wasn't a really big size increase or anything. It was almost exactly the same size. It feels lighter to me for some reason. It probably might even be heavier, I don't know, but I don't feel like I'm carrying extra weight with me or anything, which is totally okay, which I really like that. Now, the second thing I really liked about it was the new keyboard. That was something that really spoke out to me a lot. I didn't upgrade to those touch bar models, mostly because of USB Type-C. I didn't want to give up that SD card slot, but more so with that new updated keyboard, I wouldn't have to worry about my MacBook randomly not working. And with my 2015 model, I never had these issues. I can take it with me anywhere in the world, and I can just be rest assured that I won't run into any issues. Whereas on the 2019 15-inch model, which was one I was debating on buying, I would always have that thought in the back of my head, and I talked about this on my other MacBook videos as well. I reviewed all I reviewed all the other MacBooks too, but it's with this one, I don't have to worry about that, which is a humongous asset. That's something I can just go live my life and not have to worry about it. And the third thing that I really liked, and probably was one of my favorite features about it, was the microphone. So the built-in microphone in the 16-inch MacBook apparently is far better than the ones that are in a bunch of other MacBooks as well. Now this is the base model, so I just want to say that this is the 512 storage and the 16 gigs of RAM and the 6 cores, so keep that in mind. The whole entire video, I should have said that in the beginning. But with that microphone, I was seeing a lot of other people do a lot of other videos with it, and dude, they were killing it. I mean, when the 16-inch MacBook came out, there were so many videos on just the microphone array itself, which was a huge highlight, and I really liked it. I really liked the microphone in this thing too, and I think overall, if you have the money to spend, 100% the 16-inch MacBook is probably a good way to go for a majority of people out there. But I will say that for me personally, it's still not completely perfect, which is okay. Things have problems, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Now, I was buying this MacBook to kind of replace my iMac and MacBook setup. I just want to get a monitor and just plug in USB-C and just move on with my day. I like having separate machines, but I also don't at the same time. It's just kind of weird, and just having a pretty powerful MacBook to replace this stuff would just be really good to me. But here's the thing, there were some issues that I've had with this MacBook that I might as well get out of the way now, because a lot of people already know how this thing performs and all that stuff. And just within probably my first 2 to 3 weeks of using this thing, I think I've had it for almost about a month now, I want to say that the issues that I've been having are okay, but I'm comparing them to my 15-inch model, and it's still kind of rubbing me the wrong way, okay? So the first thing being, it's actually a software thing. With macOS Catalina, a lot of my software for my previous MacBooks, so my 15-inch and my 2015 iMac, does not work on macOS Catalina because they're 32-bit apps. Now, I could run a, virtual machine within my Mac. I could run Parallels or whatever, and I've thought about it. I've done virtual machines billions of times, but it's still just kind of weird to not having my actual native apps running perfectly within a macOS version. And on macOS Mojave, that was my favorite version of macOS so far. 32-bit apps were supported in it, and now only 64-bit apps are, which is so weird. And that's the only reason why I might actually go down to a 2019 15-inch one, is because I can downgrade to macOS Mojave if I really wanted to. On this MacBook, I can't, so that's a pretty big issue right there. When I was upgrading and, restoring all my software from my 15-inch to my 16-inch, that was one thing that I saw right there. So if you're a user of 32-bit apps, that's something I don't hear a lot of people talking about. I talked about this last year when macOS Catalina came out in a beta, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you use a lot of 32-bit apps or you're using a ton of old apps that are, reliant on your job or whatever, you might be better off just holding off for getting an older MacBook or staying on a 2015 or staying on your MacBook currently, because you can't downgrade past macOS Catalina on this thing, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that was the first thing that I saw that actually really, really rubbed me the wrong way. The second thing that I saw, which was pretty much just up there, was how loud this MacBook got. And, the fans on this thing were crazy. This thing got hot extremely all the time. This thing was hot. My 15-inch MacBook never got this hot, which was weird. Now, this could be a feature in a way. Apple purposely pulls those fans up because they don't want thermal throttling to happen, which is totally okay. But the problem with these fans ramping up all the time, even if I'm not really even doing too much on it, is the sound when I'm recording audio for a microphone on this thing. So I've tested a lot of microphones. I'm recording this on a Blue Yeti, which is like $100 microphone, not that expensive. But I wanted something that if I'm on the go, I can go and just use this thing and be set. Like, I can probably get the job done. But the problem is that if those fans are ramping up so high, the audio will just have a bunch of like white noise in the background of just this like fan noise, which is so annoying. And I've recorded this time and time again, and the same thing keeps happening. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to go and freak out about it and, whatever, but it's just a minor inconvenience that, yeah, it has a pretty decent microphone, but you also have to like pretty much not be doing anything else on this MacBook so it doesn't like bring up those fans all the time. So I really don't know what they can do about that. On my 15-inch MacBook, like I said, the fans barely ever kick on at all when I'm even doing some pretty decent things. It only kicks up if I'm like exporting things on Final Cut Pro or anything like that, but other than that, it's pretty much silent for the most part. My 16-inch, not so much. Now, those were pretty much the main complaints of it. Everything else has been perfectly fine for the most part. Editing videos, the smoothness factor of it, like, it's still a very fast machine, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing, when I'm messing with my 15-inch MacBook, like, it's just the weirdest thing ever. I don't feel like this MacBook is that old either. Like, I don't feel like this MacBook, the 15-inch one that I have from 2015, is a, outdated machine. It's 5 years old, almost 5 years old at this point, and it's still like a pretty decent machine, which is so surprising. And I just found myself keep picking up my 2015 MacBook just because mostly of the things that I mentioned before, but also the SD card slot. That's something that is still so hard for me to give up. I bought all these dongles, I bought all these USB-C cables and all this stuff, and I'm still having a hard time like transitioning over to that 16-inch MacBook, even though I've had it for like a month now, just because of the process, just because of me constantly having to go and use these dongles. I've had many MacBooks in the day that have had a USB-C. I've had the Retina MacBooks, I've had the Touch Bar MacBooks, I've had all these ones, but I can never see myself just keeping it just because of the dongle. I just literally hate dongles so much. So I'm curious to see if Apple will ever bring an SD card slot or bring something else from the MacBook lineup. Maybe more cameras and different things use USB-C, I don't know, but the future of it is that at this point, I'm gonna have to switch at some point, I'm gonna have to do it. I can't just live off SD card slots forever. I'm gonna have to go switch over to dongles and all that stuff, but it's going to be a weird transition 100%. It's not going to be like tomorrow I'm gonna be able to go and do it. It's definitely like a, transitional period. And I relate this back to basically when the headphone jack was removed. I was like, I can't live without a headphone jack. It's like the most important thing for me. I listen to music all the time. But then slowly we kind of get used to it, and now I honestly don't even care that much. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But with this thing, it's a little bit different just because so many of my things revolve around a USB port and an SD card slot that with headphones, like, I don't even plug in headphones every day, you know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But with my SD card, I use it all the time, and it might seem like a small thing. And that's why that I said in the beginning of the video, these things probably won't matter to a lot of people, but for some people, especially people who make videos all the time and are making, tons of content, it matters a lot to us. And I just wanted to give my opinion out there. I've had this for a little bit, and I think it's a very good MacBook for a ton of people. I think it's probably the best MacBook you can get right now, obviously. But I've just been hearing so many good things about it that I really haven't heard anybody be critical about a certain thing either. So I really only have two complaints, like I said, the 32-bit app's not working, and also the fans kicking up all the time and this MacBook getting super hot. So other than that, that's really all I have to say. I love this MacBook. If you actually want to pick one up, I'll leave a link to the cheapest one I'll find on Amazon and link it down in the description below so you guys can get it from there and help support the channel at the same time. I'll also go and try to review the new 13-inch as well. Like I said, I've reviewed all the MacBooks I think so far. I have like 3 more I have to review, the older ones, and then I'm pretty much MacBooked out for the year. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.